Okay, and we're
is
back.
add an incantation to your
Welcome
spell.
everybody. Okay, cool. So let's crack it. Let's get it cracking, my friends. So yeah, today we're gonna be talking about stellate ganglion block. Really good video, really good, potentially good treatment for PTSD and anxiety. But before we go into that, we're gonna do our Valsalva squeeze, our simultaneous squeeze. That's where we're gonna take a big deep breath in. Like that. Then take a sip of air at the top. Hold it. Squeeze for 5. And then exhale for 5. Just like that. Okay? And you're going to feel really good. Ready? In 3, 2, 1. Breathe in. Sip of air at the top. Hold and squeeze it. And slowly exhale. Very good. All right, nice. So you should feel a little bit of a shift. That is a toning practice for your vagus nerve. That will tone your vagus nerve very, very well. Okay, cool. So thanks for joining. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about the usage of a Botox injection in your neck into the stellate ganglion, which is part of your sympathetic nervous system, in order to block anxiety. Doesn't that sound great, you guys? Wow. Potentially a revolutionary treatment for things like anxiety. However, there are some things that you should know before pursuing that, just so you know not to potentially waste what could be a lot of money and a lot of time in recovery and treatment. So let's crack into this. So basically, in recent years, I'd say within the last probably 8 to 10 years, the usage of something called a stellate ganglion block as a treatment option for post-traumatic stress disorder has become more and more popular, more sought after, as it's been more popularized in books and literature and media on dealing with like extreme PTSD for soldiers coming back from a war zone. So SGB, stellate ganglion block, involves injecting a small amount of a temporary numbing agent into the sympathetic system, your fight or flight system, into the cluster in your neck right about right here where I'm pointing. So right here in your neck, right here on the left side, and then on the right side, very deep, close to your spinal column, they'll put a long needle. They'll inject Botox right into the stellate ganglion, and certain things can potentially happen. This can, in some cases, alleviate symptoms associated with the conditions of PTSD and anxiety. Happy Labor Day, by the way, everybody. I hope you've been having a good day. I've been definitely taking a nice day off. However, it is important to note that this treatment may not be effective for everyone, and its applicability is primarily limited to complex PTSD cases resulting from war zone environments. So if that applies to you and you've been part of a war zone, then this might be a good option for you. But other than that, we're going to learn how it's really not all it's cracked up to be, unfortunately. And I know some people don't want to hear that. But let's talk about the procedure itself. So for a stellate ganglion block, a medical professional, usually an anesthesiologist or a neurosurgeon who knows this, is going to administer a local anesthetic injection under ultrasound guidance. They're going to put an ultrasound transducer right on your neck, identify your stellate ganglion on image, put a needle in there. They're going to be able to see the needle on the ultrasound, get it into the stellate ganglion, and then pump their thumb to inject Botox into the neuron, into the ganglion. The ganglion of the stellate ganglion system is a cluster of neurons that play a crucial role in regulating your sympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic nervous system is your fight or flight system. So if you are quick to go into anxiety in stressful situations, then it logically makes sense that you could numb the sympathetic system and prevent it from activating, and then that might prevent you from being anxious. So that's the idea of the procedure. So it basically is able to disrupt the sympathetic response, which is observed in individuals with PTSD and anxiety. So let's talk about the effectiveness and the cost. Pretty big factor when we're determining, right? So in terms of effectiveness and cost, it can kind of cost you a lot. And while a stellate ganglion block has shown promising results in some cases, it is essential to set realistic expectations here. The therapy is most effective, and I want to really emphasize this because I've had a lot of people in the Facebook group who are somehow convinced that they say, I have a vagus nerve issue. My vagus nerve isn't working properly. So I guess they've been convinced that if they just put Botox, a neurotoxin, a temporary numbing agent, into their other system, the sympathetic system, then that's going to somehow make their vagus nerve activate. This is pretty, on its face, a ridiculous idea. It's like, I'm not going to give a metaphor. It's just a ridiculous idea, okay? So here's the real deal. The therapy is really only effective for people who have complex PTSD. Complex PTSD, meaning it wasn't just one single event, like maybe you were in a car accident, maybe you got a divorce, maybe one of your children passed away potentially, right? Something as a potential momentary trauma, and yes, there can be, sexual trauma as well in that equation. That would be something that would be like PTSD. Now, if it was complex, it would mean that it was the combination of an abusive living environment, physical abuse, verbal abuse, poverty, chronic illness, a gun battle happening outside of your house every night, complex PTSD. Now you're verging on a candidate where this might work. But really, truly, the whole reason this has gotten popular is because it does tend to work with soldiers who are getting back from Fallujah in Iraq, who were in a roadside bombing incident, who saw the other 4 guys in their Jeep all die. That's complex PTSD that is responsive to a stellate ganglion block. Oh yeah, Charlotte, this is a great comment. You wrote, the block can possibly damage the vagus nerve, one side effect. So it's possible. The good news though, Char, is that it's unlikely, unless the surgeon doing the needle is really bad. Some of the injected agents inside of the Botox solution, it's water and Botox basically. It's a botulin toxin that numbs your sympathetic system, prevents it from activating. A lot of people use Botox in their face to prevent themselves from frowning, and Botox blocks the nerve signals that can go to your forehead. So it tracks that if you injected a blocking agent into your sympathetic nervous system, that again, you could also prevent your sympathetic nervous system from engaging, which may look like making it so you can't have a fight or flight response. That's the proposed mechanism. But yes, in my experience, unless you were a Marine in an IED, improvised explosive device attack on the streets of Fallujah during the United States offensive Iraqi freedom campaign, the effectiveness for general anxiety is highly unlikely to work. And I've had clients who I've had clients in the past. So there's a difference between reading about somebody in a Facebook group and then actually working with them on a weekly basis. So I do have some clients who do like weekly check-in calls or monthly check-in calls. So I get to hear the whole meal deal. And so I know what their problems are. I know what they're dealing with. I know the nature of their problem. And some that are just willing to throw everything in the kitchen sink at the problem, that are willing to try potentially effective solutions. That I have a number of clients who, in the initial month or two of, honestly, when people make a decision to work on these autonomic system problems, they generally start it all within the first week or two. So I've had clients who sign up for the phase 1 program, got their ultrasound, started stimulating, and then on their 5th day, they're like, oh, by the way, I'm also going to get a stellate ganglion block. And it's not to say that none of the stuff they were doing was working or that it didn't work. It was just that they had just planned on a one-time thing. Maybe a relative passed away and they got, and they collected on some money in the will, right? So they're just like, I'm going to do everything all at once. I want to get better right now. So, but yeah, in those types of cases, so in cases that are non-warzone PTSD, it really doesn't seem to work, unfortunately. So yeah, that's my answer on effectiveness. In terms of cost, it's important to factor in the cost. So there's two sides. There's a left and a right side. A full treatment can range from about $2,400 USD to up to $3,800 USD. So it's like $2,500 to $4,000 for a stellate ganglion block, which is a 2-part treatment. You go in, you get the left side done, then you get the right side done. Each one is about $1,200 to maybe $1,600. And it only typically works if you get both sides done. So, it's also noting that the effects of the treatment may only last for about 6 to 10 months. The left side can only be done first, and then they wait for about 6 weeks till they do the right side. So you're kind of just waiting for things, again, you're just kind of anticipating the solution, which it's just not going to come. So that's the real scoop on this stuff. I hope it's not disappointing to some who are like, oh, I was considering this. This doesn't sound like it might be a great fit for me. It could be a great fit. If you've got unlimited money, it's low risk. It's relatively low risk. So safety and considerations. Overall, it is considered a relatively safe procedure. It is relatively reversible in that Botox will clear out of your system over time. So even if you do inject Botox into your sympathetic ganglion, your body will naturally clear it out. So you will recover back to normal. However, it is crucial to be understanding of some of the marketing tactics for stellate ganglion block, to let you believe that it's a solution for any anxiety-related condition. Before opting for stellate ganglion block therapy, individuals should consult with their surgeon or medical professional to ensure that the treatment aligns with their specific needs. So you don't typically get the stellate ganglion block from your doctor. You kind of go to like a Botox clinic, or you go to there's a different type of clinic that you go to for a stellate ganglion block. So it's also important to be cautious when considering the procedure if you have general anxiety spikes as opposed to complex PTSD. While your surgeon may not discourage the treatment outright, the likelihood of it being beneficial for such cases is minimal. If you're the kind of person who has panic attacks and anxiety disorder, this is not going to work for you. It's just not. It's not gonna do it. So exploring alternative treatment options or therapies specifically tailored to your condition may prove far more effective in these cases. So if you're the kind of person who just has general anxiety spikes, you're like, it feels like I have adrenaline flowing through my body all the time, an SGB is not going to do it. This is not going to be that treatment. SGB is good for someone who just came back from a war zone, who freaks out and starts having a panic attack if they hear a door open in their home. And that comes as a result of a 3 to 5 year deployment in an active war zone. That is where SGBs are really cool. But they also have to be done. You also have to be doing some pretty hardcore therapy at the same time for the whole 6-month period to be able to work through it. So it's, again, I think stellate ganglion block therapy has gotten way too much attention. It's way too popular. I don't think it's deserving of that. So in conclusion, to wrap it up here, so a stellate ganglion block therapy can be a valuable tool in the treatment of complex, severe PTSD resulting from war zone environments. And that war zone, you can't stretch that definition to mean, well, my mom and my daddy, when they were getting divorced, were throwing plates and stuff back and forth in the house. It was like a war zone. This is not that. We're talking like bullets whizzing by your head, seeing other people die, seeing explosions happen, being on the receiving end of an explosion, killing people, all that kind of stuff. That's the kind of complex PTSD that a stellate ganglion block is called for. Just a fact. So it is crucial. TK. Yeah, exactly. One of the tools used by the VA for complex PTSD. Yeah, exactly. For veterans who are coming back from war zones, who have really bad PTSD, stellate ganglion block is amazing. Like it's an amazing procedure. I'm not poo-pooing it as a procedure. I'm just poo-pooing it as a therapy for civilians who have anxiety. This is not going to work. So yeah, it is crucial to approach the treatment option with realistic expectations, and of course consult with medical professionals to determine its suitability for your specific situation. Now, I don't know if I said this already, but if you are going to one of those expensive clinics in like California, they're going to be able to do it. If you're going to pay out of pocket, they'll do it for you. So they're not going to really try to talk you out of it. So anyway, just know that it's not all it's cut out to be by any means. So cool. All right. Well, that will wrap it up for the conversation on stellate ganglion blocks. It's not all it's cracked up to be. It could be useful, but other than that, try something else. Honestly, try something like vagus nerve stimulation before you go for that. In my opinion, my honest opinion, try something like something that stimulates your vagus nerve through your neck or something like that. That's going to be a better option. Way better option than the alternatives. So anyway, so let's take any questions. I know I've got a couple people shared between Facebook and YouTube and Twitter. But if you try to ask a question on YouTube and Facebook, I'll be able to see it. If you guys want to ask live questions, I always encourage you to join the Facebook group specifically. That's where I live stream. That's where we do like kind of more group interaction. Part of the reason I do that is because it gives me the ability to create like a special environment for people where we can answer questions and provide better resources. I can't do that on Twitter or YouTube. There's no social media on either of those like there is on Facebook. So yeah, go Mark Zuckerberg. He did a pretty good job on encouraging a safe environment. One thing I will notice or mention is part of the reason I don't like getting too big on Twitter is there was a doctor he's a pediatric therapist. He does talk therapy with children, teenagers, basically. I think he had a 13-year-old child in his office. And he posted about this on Twitter. And he said, I have a client right now, a 13-year-old, won't mention names or details, who is dealing with his anxiety and stress by smoking, in his words, a lot of marijuana at his age. 13 years old, smoking a lot of weed to deal with his anxiety. And the doctor said, well, I tried to bring it up with him, and he had printed off some studies showing that adolescent usage of marijuana in the teenage years can have long-term effects on the brain. And the kid said to him, that's not your place to tell me that. I didn't come here to ask for your feedback on my marijuana usage. Even though this is their therapist helping them deal with anxiety and emotional distress. And of course, the child mentioned, they're a child, 13 years is a child. They mentioned that they have a daily habitual usage of marijuana. And the doctor posted on Twitter actually, and said, was it appropriate to do this, or was I in the wrong? And this is a viral, in the medical world, as viral as it gets, in terms of research. TK, that's a great question. I'll get to that in a second. Yes, we are. We have some stuff right now with the VA for that actively right now with the in-ear ultrasound, by the way. So I responded in the midst of what were 2,000 comments on this thing. And I said, of course you're in the right. And absolutely, there are consequences for adolescent marijuana abuse that can result in like cognitive prefrontal lobe development issues. Long term, I do believe that it can can make you more likely to experience psychosis, for sure, with that kind of usage at that age. So then I got piled on so hardcore on Twitter, and people were like, you idiot, that's not true. People can smoke as much weed as they want, and there's no evidence to show that smoking any amount of weed at any age is bad for the body. God, you're so stupid. And I was like, I responded with an article that specifically was like a study on this. I responded with a couple of studies, and it was just this long, it's just drama, just ridiculous drama. And then it got like personal, like just like invective and ad hominem. I'm like, clearly you guys don't have any arguments to make if you're just attacking me. So anyway, Twitter sucks for that kind of reason. You guys are horrible. You guys are horrible. So anyway, I like Facebook because if people act like a total twat or a tool, then I can block them and they can go be Delta Bravos anywhere else that they want. So anyway, but yeah, kind of getting back to this question for TK, she had asked if we're planning on partnering with the Veterans Association for using VNS to treat PTSD. The answer is currently yes. There is an ongoing trial of the in-ear ultrasound in the VA in New York right now to roll that out as exactly for that, for CPTSD, anxiety, that kind of stuff. I think very likely, high likelihood of being effective. And let me tell you, these things are selling like hotcakes. These in-ear ultrasound devices are selling very fast. And clinics are buying them up. Practitioners, doctors are buying them for usage on their clients, which is really, really cool. So like just incredibly exciting times for sure. But yeah, so good stuff. Well, thanks guys so much for watching. Thanks for tuning in on Labor Day. I just decided to take the whole day off and just relax around the house. And it's been really nice. It's been really, really nice. So thank you all to our veterans. Thank you to our armed services. And also thank you to our laborers. I guess isn't May Day like Workers' Day? I don't really know. Anyway, happy Labor Day. Good job, everybody. You did it. You worked. If you worked for like a minute, this video is dedicated to you. Okay? You did it. You did it. You showed up. You did hard work. Okay? Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks guys so much for tuning in. We'll wrap it up here on the YouTubes.